Hello everyone, I welcome you to yet another session with From-myStudio. This is a part 2 video of how to paint the grapes. So in this video we will see color theory and how to choose the palette for our grapes. So I am choosing a color red. So this is called a hue, the color is called a hue. I am going to take a little stronger color of red. Okay. Now when we mix some shades of white to the hue, it becomes a tint. So since I do not have a white in my palette, I am going to mix some buff titanium. So from the hue, red hue, we have got a tint of red. Now I am going to mix some grey. I have Jane's grey in my palette. I am going to mix it on the paper directly. I am going to first apply some red, and on top of it I am going to apply a medium mixture of grey. So this becomes a tone. So now we have the red hue, the actual color, the tint and the tone of red. The next one is called the shade. To achieve a shade, we have to mix a very dark shade closest to black. Since I do not have black, I am using a dark mixture of the Jane's grey directly on the paper. On top of it, I am going to use a little bit of red, the same hue, and we are going to achieve a darker red, shade of red. This is called as the shade. So we have hue, tint, tone and shade. So these are the 4 different color variations of the original red. In order to achieve multiple forms, or the tint can be made lighter or the tint can be made a little bolder. Similarly with tones and shades. So depending upon the value or the intensity of the color combinations, we can get infinite shades from the same hue. Next comes the color wheel. So in order to understand the color theory, we have to know the color wheel. So in the color wheel, we have the 3 primary colors: yellow, red and blue. They are lined up with white dotted lines. From the primary colors, we get the secondary colors. They are dotted with green lines, green dotted lines. So if we mix yellow and red, we get orange. Similarly, red and blue, we get violet. And blue and yellow, we get green. So the colors which are in between the primary and secondary colors, they are the tertiary colors. By mixing the yellow and the green, we get the yellow green. So we can again, when we are using one color more than the other, we can get a multiple variation of these colors. And by mixing more water, as you can see close to the center, the shades are lighter. When you use more colors, you will get a bolder shade. Next comes the color theory. Color theory is nothing but how to compose your painting. What are the colors you can choose for your painting so that it sits well with one another. So here are the 5 different ways in which you can choose the colors. One is the complementary color. From the color wheel, the colors which are directly opposite to each other, they are very good when you use them on your painting. After explaining all these 5 methods, I'll show you some examples of each. The next one is the analogous. You can always pick the colors which are next to each other. And also the triadic color combination is when you draw a triangle which is equidistant from each other in the color wheel, those are the 3 colors that will go well with each other again. Split complementary is, in the complementary, for example, the first one is red and green, right? Instead of using green, you have to use the colors next to them, left and right side. Or you can use the color green, and instead of red, you can use a pink and orange. So that is the split complementary. Tetradic is either it can be used as a rectangle or as a square. So when you draw such a pattern in the color wheel, you can choose the 4 colors which form in a rectangle or the 4 colors which fall in a square. Let us see some examples of how people have used these color theory or the methods of choosing colors in their paintings and enhanced it. So this is a complementary method. So orange and blue falls opposite in the color wheel. So they both create the equal vibrance in this painting. The next one is called as the analogous method. So the yellow, orange and red colors go hand in hand. So as you have seen, the darkest shades is nothing but the shade of red. So they have achieved this color combination with the analogous method. The third one is the tetradiagonal method. Here they have used the four colors on a rectangle and they have used the lighter tones of it. So the tints, they have used mostly the tints and the hues of it to achieve this composition. So let us see how to choose the color palette for this grapes in the reference image. So the first things, we have to separate this color into light tones, mid tones and dark tones. For the, if you see, pay a close attention, there is always a undertone or a undertone to each grapes. There is a color below the actual color you can see. For the light tones, I am using a tallow blue and also a grayish mixture of the tallow blue. I added a very watery mixture of grey to it, and also for a variety I am using some ultramarine blue and also a very watery mixture of it's closely reddish violet. It is neither violet nor purple. Next, I also use a watery mixture of purple. Next comes the mid-tone. For the mid-tones, I am going to mix some rich pigments. So first one is the violet, which is having more red. Next one is the violet, and also we are going to use a shade, a berry kind of violet, which is very rich in tone. And also we are going to use some for the background. We are going to mix some yellows and some greens, some darker greens for the distance, and some brighter green. I'm using sap green and also I'm using the perylene green for this. And we are using some browns which can be used for the stem. Burnt sienna and raw burnt umber are the two shades I'm using for this. Thank you for watching. I will post one more video of the actual grapes painting with all the study we have done so far. If you have not watched the value study that we have done for this grapes, please do watch. It will be really helpful. Please like and subscribe my channel if you like my content. Thanks.